top 5 reasons why you should eat low carb. Ano yung 5 pinaka importanteng rason na bakit kailangan mo magsimula ng low carb. We did an online survey and eto yung mga responses ng ating mga participants. So these also translates to the top 5 benefits din ng low carb. And if you think you can benefit from this one, baka eto na yung sign kung bakit dapat tayo'y kailangan nang magsimula ng low carb. So number 1, of course, is to optimize weight. So bakit hindi lang basta weight loss? Out of 700 plus na mga participants, around half nagsabi na they actually can benefit from weight loss. But hindi lang po weight loss yung low carb. Ito ay optimizing weight. Anong ibig sabihin ng pag-optimize ng weight? Ito yung idea na kung ano yung weight na dapat talaga para sa'yo ay doon mag-normalize yung inyong katawan. Mas marami ngayon sa ating community actually mas nangangailangan ng pagtaas ng kanilang timbang. Why? Because they did the low carb not in the best way. Kinulang sila ng pagkain. So that's why they had a lot of weight loss. So successful sila sa pag-lose ng weight and they inspired many, yung mga baguhan sa atin na gustong mag-lose ng weight the low carb way. And don't worry, it can happen. What is important also is for us to realize na para naman sa about half of the population na walang problema when it comes to weight loss, they also need to make sure na yung weight nila is of optimum when it comes to their health. Yung kanilang body structure, body composition, hindi lang basta tamang BMI, but we are looking into body composition na kung saan yung kanilang lean body mass ay mataas as compared to their body fats. Anong ibig sabihin yan? Kapag ang isang tao na ang BMI ay nasa normal, it is good but it is not enough. Kailangan tingnan kung ano yung composition ng body fat ng body na yon because there are others na kahit pa normal yung kanilang timbang pero yung visceral fats, yung kanilang level of fats in the body is actually very high na it is still very dangerous for them to have other risks like yung pagkakaroon ng heart attack, stroke, and many more because as we will discuss in a short while, makikita natin na hindi lang po timbang yung kailangan nating pababain but it's actually the inflammation. So that is why the first thing that one can benefit and the reason why you should eat low carb is to optimize your weight na nagtra-translate sa better health. So yun yung pinaka-importante and know that when you start doing low carb and you lower down your inflammation, makikita ninyo that the weight loss is just a bonus. And para naman sa mga kailangan mag-gain weight, if you add exercises and you prioritize your protein intake, you can also have a good kind of weight gain. Ano yung klase ng good kind of weight gain? This is the weight gain na hindi lang taba yung naiimbak sa katawan, but it is actually piling up, bulking up on your lean body mass in bones and in your muscles. So yun sila yung musculoskeletal system natin that are very important. That is also important sa ating second reason why you should do low carb, and that is to boost your immunity. Isa sa mga pinaka-importanteng help ng pandemic is to wake us up na something is not right. Marami sa atin that it took pandemic for us to realize that something is wrong na pala in our way of eating. It's just so sad na maraming mga very young people and looking very healthy but nagkaroon ng problema when they were hit with COVID because nakita nga nila na hindi lang basta physical na aspect, physical na kaanyuan yung nakikita natin that will really give you your immune system. Because immune system is a function not just of your muscles, not just of your weight, but it has something to do with cellular response, kung paano nagre-respond sa stress yung katawan natin. Those na very athletic, very physically active, merong advantage than those na sedentary. Pero wala pong kahit anong exercise na makaka-outweigh talaga ng very bad diet and lifestyle. That is why it is important for us to have them kung pwede sabay, but for sustainability sake, para hindi tayo pabalik-balik at mag-rebound, try to prioritize first your health, try to prioritize first the healing, and makikita ninyo that the physical aspect will just later on happen. And when we lower down the inflammation in our body, automatic na din na yung immune system natin is also being boosted. So that is why sa mga matagal nang nag-low carb, especially yung mga nag-low carb bago pa yung pandemic, isa lang yung sinasabi parate when they were hit with COVID, it's either halos walang symptoms or kung nagkaroon man ng symptoms, it's very, very mild na parang regular flu lang before, and their recovery period is also very fast. So, yun yung mga benefits ng low carb lifestyle. That's why as much as we comply sa rules and regulations of wearing masks, social distancing, but we are no longer afraid. Marami sa atin na hindi na talaga ganun katakot to socialize with others and connect with others face to face dahil alam natin that our immune system is gonna be there to protect us. So, hi na lang din sa lahat ng umattend ng ating National Low Carb Day na ginawa talaga yung lahat para maka-attend on face-to-face. We value your trust and your confidence sa atin po and sa ating community, and know na your appearance there, and also for those who supported the National Low Carb Day, sobrang laking impact po nun, especially sa mga members na nagdala ng kanilang family members, and it showed them na hindi lang sila nag-iisa in this kind of lifestyle na alam nating very natural and very, very good when it comes to our healing process. If you have been successful in this way of life, I hope you can share your own story, your own testimony sa ating comment section kung paano nabago ng low carb ang buhay ninyo, and you just don't know how you can inspire others as well. So moving on to our top 3 reason kung bakit kailangan natin magsimula ng low carb, it is, number 3 would be, it will help us normalize our blood pressure. So when it comes to our blood pressure, it is very, very much important dahil kapag na-normalize yung ating blood pressure, mabababa na rin yung burden natin sa ating heart. And when our heart, the burden in our heart is also less, so of course, it is a given na mas matagal itong mag-function, and it can serve its purpose to supply the needed blood supply sa ating buong katawan. So when it comes to blood pressure, it's important to always keep it normal. So ano yung normal na blood pressure? Normal blood pressure should be below. It's not just around, it should be below 120/80 yung ating upper limit na yan. And it can be, kung sa SBP, yung sa itaas, it's just about 90 to 120. And then yung sa baba naman, yung diastolic blood pressure, it should be around 60 to 80. Merong iba na on the lower limit, like myself, I belong there, 80-60, minsan nasa 80-55. As long as you're feeling well, hindi ka nahihilo, hindi ka parang natutumba. So those things are actually very important indicators that you are clinically well. So hindi mo kailangan mag-worry, because when you do low carb, it's automatic that your inflammation will lower down, and it's actually the inflammation, hindi po yung pagkain ng asin, hindi lang yung basta instant na pagdami ng inom ng tubig na makakapagpataas ng inyong blood pressure. There are so many other aspects going on there, but sustained hypertension is usually related to level of inflammation. And so, kung mababa yung inflammation sa katawan, eventually, it will heal. Although, compared to our fourth benefit in our low carb lifestyle, blood pressure normalization may take some time. Hindi siya yung instant na in one day babagsak agad yung blood pressure mo sustainably. No, it will take some time. Sometimes it may take 1 month, 2 months, sometimes 6 months. Depende din kung gaano na kayo katagal hypertensive, kung gaano karami yung gamot na iniinom. Kailangan meron niyang proper guidance, proper adjustment of dose, because if not, baka biglang bumagsak yung inyong blood pressure at bigla kayong matumba dahil sobrang baba na. You already have hypotension, and it's not because of low carb per se, but it's because meron pa kayong iniinom na 2, 3, or 4 na gamot na nagpapababa ng blood blood pressure na when you do low carb the right way, dapat sana meron na itong proper weaning, proper adjustment sa dosage so that it will not be an overdose for you, because those medications usually yun yung based on studies are effective in lowering or controlling blood pressure, pero those studies are not looking into the diet ng mga participants, and as we all know, yung diet ng participants of the majority of the population is on high carb talaga. So, hindi lang siya nilalabel as high carb, but it is just the typical diet ng karamihan. Yun yung diet na kung saan tayo nanggaling. And that's why today is Tuesday and it's our low carb Tuesday segment for our LCF lifestyle talk. And that is the reason why we want to emphasize on choosing low carb. When you choose low carb, your need for all of those medications for the medicine na binigay sa sakit na kung saan etong mga sakit na ito is related to modern day natin na lifestyle. And that modern day lifestyle, a large bulk of it come from our nutrition. Other aspects would be stress level, yung deprivation of sleep, and also yung physical activity that is becoming less and less over the years. So, maraming factors, but when it comes to our nutrition, isa siya sa pinakamadaling ma-manipulate natin, makontrol natin to our advantage. And moving on to our top 4 benefit ng low carb is normalization of blood sugar. And we cannot emphasize more kung bakit kailangan natin ma-normalize yung ating blood sugar, because when our blood sugar is normal, then mas maganda rin po yung functioning ng ating katawan, and our risk for CKD, chronic kidney disease, so diabetes, ophthalmopathy, yung pagkabulag, ang pagkakaroon ng peripheral neuropathy, yung parating nagnanumb yung paa, yung mga kamay, parating nagkakaroon ng problems when it comes to even their urination, parating ihi ng ihi, cannot stop eating, cannot stop drinking. Then normalization of blood sugar is very important, and that can be easily attained. Why easy? In as easy as 1 day, 24 hours. Kung kayo ay CGM or continuous blood glucose monitoring, makikita ninyo that it's only with real low carb nutrition na eto ay bababa sa normal even without medication. So you can check the safe list of hashtag JGC Rojo Food List para makita nyo kung ano yung mga pagkain pwedeng-pwede sa atin na hindi makakapag-spike ng ating blood sugar, because when our blood sugar is always spiking, then tataas yung insulin natin. At yung insulin natin sa katawan, hindi dapat parating mataas. It should be lower down to as low as possible, but still fit to life. And next on our reasons why you should do low carb, mas maiintindihan natin kung bakit kailangan pababain yung insulin burden sa ating katawan. And that is the reason why top 5 kung bakit kailangan mo nang mag-low carb is to lower the bad cholesterol. Yan yung top 5 din natin sa mga answers of more than 700 respondents why they choose low carb, because they want to lower their bad cholesterol. And when it comes to bad cholesterol, kailangan natin yan i-emphasize, because if you search on Google, instantly they will put bad cholesterol as LDL and good cholesterol as HDL, when in fact, it's not the case. LDL alone is not bad on its own, but LDL na may kasabay na inflammation is the one that will cause the problem. But between LDL, meron pang worse talaga, yung totoong bad cholesterol, and that is VLDL and triglycerides. And sometimes nakakaligtaan na yan. We are not looking into it, but when you check that level of remnant cholesterol. So remnant cholesterol is the one that we really need to measure, kasi sila yung bad cholesterol that is putting us at risk for cardiovascular diseases. So, yung cholesterol, eto, more than, hindi lang siya basta LDL at HDL lang. But it is actually the VLDL na marker talaga ng fatty liver. And when there is fatty liver, there is already inflammation, problems caused within our liver. And when our liver is already inflamed, it only means one thing. Ibig sabihin, medyo napasobra na yung ating burden sa ating katawan when it comes to intake of too much food na ating kinakain. And when it comes to food, when it comes to lowering of our cholesterol, alam nyo ba na the cholesterol in our blood lipid panel, 25% lang dyan ay nanggaling sa ating pagkain. But it's the 75% actually caused by our body creating its own cholesterol. So this one can answer those queries, those question kung bakit kahit pa naka plant-based na sila, hindi na sila kumakain ng kahit anong karne, kahit anong matataba or anything na mamantika, still they see their triglycerides very high, VLDL very high, total cholesterol very high, kahit umiinom pa ng statins. It is because yung cholesterol na tumataas dito, hindi galing sa pagkain, but actually created by your own liver. And those cholesterol are the bad ones, especially if they are in the form of triglycerides and VLDL. At ano, yung isa sa pinaka-common source of cholesterol na ito, hindi actually karne, hindi actually yung coconut oil, but it could be related to your rice, your fruits, your sugar na kinakain mo. Because when you eat those, especially if you don't use those, eto ay mako-convert lang into triglycerides. So, merong pathway na kung saan ang carbohydrates, especially carbohydrates na madaling matra-transform into glucose, ay matra-transform into fructose and matra-transform into triglycerides. And if you eat a lot of foods na mataas sa fructose, like yung mga biscuits, yung mga fraps, milk tea, yung mga fruit juices, that's all loaded with high fructose corn syrup. And even to a point, yung mga mahihilig sa saging, yung mga nasa 10 saging yung nauubos nila in one day, mangga na pinipili mo yung sobrang tamis na mangga, those are actually also very high in glucose and fructose, and that is just one step away into creating a bad cholesterol in your system. That is why we eat low carb. We choose low carb because it's only with low carb that we lower that endogenous. So, endogenous, nasa sa loob na production ng bad cholesterol sa ating katawan. And if we look at this photo, I think this was shared the other day by our friend, Sir Marco Reyes, hazards ratio for CHD or coronary heart disease, hindi actually yung pagtaas lang ng LDL. Sobrang liit lang yung taas ng LDL, but sobrang laki nun is the type 2 diabetes, the metabolic syndrome, hypertension, yung pagkakaroon ng extra weight in the form of obesity, triglycerides, again, being overweight, and of course smoking. So smoking, we don't need to discuss so much about that. What is important is for us to understand now when it comes to increasing our health, the better way and lowering our risk of heart attacks and stroke, hindi lang basta pagpapababa ng LDL yung focus natin. Mas kailangan nating i-focus muna yung pinakamalaking risk factor for coronary heart disease, which is actually type 2 diabetes, metabolic syndrome, and all of these, especially obesity, part yan ng reflection ng insulin resistance. So when there is insulin resistance, yun, dun talaga yung pinakamalaking risk why people have heart attacks and stroke. This can also explain why kahit mababa yung LDL ng karamihan na nakastatins na umiinom ng gabot, but in the end, they still are rushed to the ER, nasa emergency room pa rin sila, of still the same things, heart attack, stroke, pagkakaroon ng angina, chest pain, and even with low LDL, because what they don't lower is their insulin resistance, and as long as there is insulin resistance, that inflammation will always be high. So, ano ang kailangan natin gawin? Ultimately, kailangan i-lower natin yung insulin burden natin sa ating katawan, because when we lower the insulin burden sa ating katawan, malolower din yung ating insulin resistance, at kapag lowered na yung ating insulin resistance, we become insulin sensitive, then our risk for coronary heart disease is also lowered. So, ano yung best way to lower the insulin burden sa ating katawan? Just lower your glucose intake. So pababain lang yung glucose intake because as much as there is also endogenous glucose production, gumagawa rin ng sariling glucose yung ating katawan, yet it's not as damaging as the glucose that we are taking in because our diet ngayon, yung platong Pinoy natin, yung pinggang Pinoy natin is just too much glucose. Alam nyo ba na nasa 66% at minimum yung recommended na glucose intake ngayon? And if you sum that up, for example, if you have 1,800 for example na calories in a day, so nasa 1,200 niyan. Nasa 1,200 niyan ay puro carbohydrates lamang and usually translated into glucose. And if you divide that by 5, nasa 60. So you are consuming like, divided by 5, tama ba? 1,200 divided by 5 divided by 120, so 60. So nasa 60. So 60 teaspoons of white sugar equivalent yung kinakain natin every day if we eat at least 3 cups of rice and then starch pa and then may tinapay pa and the sugar in our fruits as well. So if we follow the Pinggang Pinoy, the Patong Pinoy, it will actually give us 60 teaspoons of white sugar. So good luck with that. And no one, and you can just think, how come we still wonder? Bakit pa tayo nagwo-wonder why there's so many diabetics in the Philippines? Like, it's normal for everyone to have a family member na diabetic. Because kung titingnan mo, following the Platong Pinoy, the Pinggang Pinoy that is suggested, is actually pushing people to eat 60 teaspoons of white sugar in a day. Anyway, that's another topic for another time. Ngayon, we will focus on blood glucose impact of food, and that's why we always want you to choose the food that will maintain your blood glucose kahit pa marami yung kakainin mo nito. So, 2 steps in lowering low carb, again, knowing what to avoid. And these are the ones na nasa ating danger area. Okay? And next would be knowing kung ano naman yung i-enjoy natin. And kung ano yung i-enjoy natin, the ones in our blue zone or green zone. So the healthy ones, the low carb, whole foods na will nourish your body but will not affect your blood glucose and of course provide you with happiness kasi masarap sila. So always remember to choose low carb, not just today because it's Tuesday, but every day. And thank you also sa lahat ng sumali sa ating National Low Carb Day. We have LCF private sessions. This month, parang isang araw na lang ata yung available natin na online appointment. And face-to-face, we have November 15 available on Ortigas Center, in Ortigas in our LCF Center. So if you wish to know more, and maraming salamat po and I hope you can come by and meet us in our LCF Center soon. Thank you to all of those who attended our meet and greet in Dumaguete and also maraming salamat. I'll see you po, ma'am, yung isang participant natin noon in Iloilo that will become a part of our meet and greet in Boracay. Okay? So thank you so much everyone. We'll see you in December 4, 2022 for our Low Carb Manila Fun Run and Family Day. Maraming salamat always for your support to our platforms and our advocates. So, yun yung topic natin for today. Hi to everyone in Life Without Rice group. Sa mga hindi pa member ng Life Without Rice group, I'm sure marami kayong na-miss because the menus that are safe for our blood sugar, for our blood pressure, and that can lower our insulin ay nandyan lang. And you can get a lot of inspiration from there. And of course, for questions, you are more than welcome to join Low Carb Feasting and Fasting Community. So, this is your Diet Doctora, Dr. Josephine Grace Rohotan, and I'll see you again in our next video. I hope you enjoyed this top 5 reason why you should eat low carb this episode kasi importante ito why we need to remind ourselves from time to time to stick to always choose low carb. Today is Tuesday and choose low carb today and always in order for us to stay safe. Maraming salamat po. Thank you so much and I'll see you again next time. Bye-bye everyone. Have a great week ahead. Maraming salamat.